welcome to another NFL Daily where we missed the hell out of Cynthia Frelund last week.
I missed you.
We needed her.
You ditched me.
We got her in the studio. Yes, I'm back in the Chris Wesseling podcast studio with my friend Cynthia Frelund. We missed you. Yeah, I was in London last week. Neil Reynolds stepped in and picked games for you. He didn't win a single game. He went 0-3. But because we're professional, we did get your picks. The listeners are going to just have to trust us on this one that you went 2-1.
Great.
On your picks.
I mean, listen, we can show them the email proof. It's not like it's not there.
Yes, it is absolutely true. You had Washington wrong last week, but you got
by half a freaking point.
Yes, but you got the Texans covering easily and the Bears covering easily. When I saw your Bears pick, I was like, why didn't I take the Bears? I felt so strong about that game there in London, and then it happened. I went 2-1 as well. I got the Lions.
Love it.
And the Steelers both covering comfortably, and the Giants not even coming very close. So 2-1 for me gets me to 8-10 on the season. You're 9-9. My extra picks did poorly last week, so I'm down to 11-6 on my extra picks. We do have a couple.
11-6 is great.
Still very good, but
right.
I went 0-3 last week. Okay, let's start. Well, I'll let you start. Every week, by the way, if you're new to the show, both Cynthia and I, two of the foremost prognosticators in the business, pick 3 games against the spread.
Okay. For my first pick this week, I would like to go with. Listen, this one's going to be spicy, but I'm going with the Jets plus 1.5.
Okay.
I think the Jets win outright. So if you're going to also give me another 1.5, I will take it.
I have the Jets winning this game as well on our show Game Debut, which, by the way, people can DVR it. It's on early Friday morning. It's on Sunday morning.
Super early if
it's
you're
on late night
Pacific.
Saturday. Yeah, it's very early. What do you like? Does your model put a Devontae trade into the mix, and how much does that change anything? Does it put Russell Wilson into the mix? Does that change
Everything's
anything?
in there. The Russell Wilson thing just added more passes, which actually added more volatility because the Jets defense is very good. And then if you look on the other side, Davante Adams has been the reliable option for Aaron Rodgers on quick passes basically ever since they were together, right? So I don't know, it kind of bolstered the Jets' odds no matter what. And I think the line moved a half a point with Davante, and I'm like, fine, I don't care.
But you moved it another a point or something.
Yeah, I went over and above.
Yes,
whatever the movement was.
Yes, right. You have them winning. I like that. I agree with you, but that's not going to be one of my 3 picks. I'm going to continue to make the mistake of picking the Patriots to cover the spread.
I have it too. 5.5 is
okay.
spicy.
Yeah, like you got to have a code as someone that's picking games. And one of my codes, one of my ways I do this would be some teams just aren't worthy of being heavy favorites. And the Jaguars are one of those teams. Like you can put any NFL team out there against the Jaguars. I do not think they should be a 5.5 point favorite in any scenario whatsoever. And this is that scenario. It's a neutral field game. You could say Jags home game, but it's not going to really matter. I'm sure the Patriots fans will actually travel pretty well, and it'll be even, but it'll be mostly just people enjoying the game. It'll be fun atmosphere there at Wembley. So giving the Jaguars 5.5 points after a week where I think Ollie Connolly on our recap show said it well, watching the sidelines. He's never seen a more disconnected team emotionally in his life. And now they got to go spend a whole week together in London. Everyone's miserable. People think the head coach is going to get fired. Just sight unseen, I kind of almost like the Patriots straight up. I'm not ready to go there because the last thing I did before I came in to the studio today was watch Patriots Texans, and it was a reminder. This is a bottom 5 defense. Trevor Lawrence has actually played pretty well the last couple of weeks. They're just more talented than the Patriots when their offense is on the field against a pretty poor Patriots defense. They're not getting coached very well. So that maybe the Jaguars win this game, but 5.5 points with Drake May making some plays last week. He's very volatile, so it could go really well, and he probably could have some negative plays. But this Jags secondary hasn't made any plays all year.
I mean, Andre Sisco had like the one good play, and then there was allegations that he said the team quit. So
yes.
I don't know what's true or not. I just know that it looks like a mess, and that weird hockey line subbing in thing that the Jags are doing up front. Watch their defensive front.
Yes.
They do hockey line substitutions. Like like up first line, second line. Like it's wild. I've never seen usually see one or two players kind of on certain downs coming out, but not like they're like subbing out 5 players at a time.
Well, that's the one part of the
Wild.
game that does worry me a little bit. Trayvon Walker has had some good games. Josh Hines-Allen is still there. Arik Armstead's there. So that matchup against the Patriots offensive line, but that's one of the reasons why, just as a little bonus on our show Game Debut for my Write This Down this week, I was like, Drake May over rushing yardage total. So that was like 29.5. That's not one of my picks here. I guess it's an extra pick. I'm throwing that in the extra pick.
Put that in the box.
Because he's going to, when I think they're telling Drake May essentially, if you don't see anything and the rush comes quickly, like run, dude. And he did it well.
Run, dude.
He is athletic enough to do it. So is that going to be one of your 3
No.
picks? Okay. Okay.
My next one is Washington by 7.5 points against Carolina.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. Explain why.
Well, what? I mean, number one, listen, there's so many good things to like about Jaden Daniels, but the one thing I want to talk about on the other side of the game is the fact that no Jonathan Allen now that's going to be difficult to overcome, but I actually have seen their defense defending passes a little bit better in recent weeks. I'm not going to call them a good pass defense. I'm not going to say that they're not going to give up a deep play. I'm not going to say that if Deontay Johnson plays, he's not going to get in the end zone. None of that. What I am going to say is that their ability to contain these chunk plays on every single down is limited more than Jaden Daniels' ability to create such things on the other side. So I think 7.5. I have them an 11-point win, and my model's pretty conservative. So if my model's saying 11 points, 7.5 is like it's
a big gap for you.
15,
yes.
Yeah, I'm way more conservative than most models.
I like that. I agree with that one too. If I had to pick that one, Andy Dalton's playing just well enough that you could see him like scoring some late touchdowns and make you sweat it. But that defense is just terrible. Jadeveon Clowney's still out of practice. Deontay Johnson out of practice the first couple days of the week, but one of his teammates said that he will play. Xavier Legette said Deontay Johnson will play.
If Xavier Legette says it, it must be true,
well,
right?
Xavier Legette also says he has, if he scores 2 touchdowns in this game, he has like a second part of his horse galloping celebration. I don't know if you've been tracking.
I have been tracking, but there's a second part.
He has a second part that he's ready to unveil, but he has to score 2 touchdowns in this game.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, which you are saying is unlikely. Washington, that's your second pick, minus 7.5.
Yep. Don't forget that hook.
I'm like on the fence of what my next couple of picks are going to be.
Okay.
Let's go with the one I feel better about.
Okay.
Seattle plus 3.
Yep.
This is more of a hunch. Byron Murphy returns this week. I think he's really important for that defense.
Yes.
They've been getting pushed around in the middle. If he's there, he can make everyone around him better. I like the extra rest factor. The Seahawks play on Thursday night. Falcons off of a normal week like that. The Falcons are also the they can't keep getting away with this team. You know what I mean? Like every week it's just like, okay, Falcons, like they've won 3 in a row. The Seahawks have lost 3 in a row. And when sometimes that happens and I see 2 teams that I believe are pretty close overall in talent and overall ability, I think like those streaks are going to end. That's how it works out. Now, that's not like a statistical way to really look at it. But I do think Mike McDonald, their defensive coach, with a few extra days to work on it, looks at this Falcons offense, which is limited in the passing game. Kirk Cousins, every week, he can't move. The play action's not working. You're probably getting Tariq Woolen back for this game too for Seattle. So I
Call
like
him Reek, okay?
Okay, Reek.
It.
He switched it, and I know the Falcons' rushing attack has been getting a little better, so that worries me somewhat. But I think Seattle can throw on them. I'm going Seattle plus 3.
Okay. I mean, I like all of it. One thing I really like in this game is a DK Metcalf touchdown.
Ooh.
In large part because the go route has been where he's been so great. And the opportunity here, I did see, by the way, it is worth noting that Justin Simmons was on the injury report for the Falcons. Should that be something that happens, then we're going to want to say, maybe look at the numbers for Tyler Lockett or Jack Jigba and make them a little higher. But ultimately, I think the go route, DK Metcalf, back on track with those games that are like 300, 100 plus. He had 3 of those and touchdown, whatever. So I like a touchdown.
I also like that he has been the main character this week in Seattle, just in the media of everyone talking about him coming off of a bad game and why it didn't work out. And it's like, he's not being the squeaky wheel necessarily, but it's that same sort of idea of they want to just get him back on track after being the main character. All right, give me your last pick. Cynthia Frelund.
I know this
on fire. Got back to 500 here. Let's go.
This one is going to be one I know you disagree with. So, because I think we need some dissension here.
Okay.
We agreed too much. And now I'm going to pick Houston, and I'm going to take a field goal. Thank you very much at Lambeau Field. I think that this is an opportunity. Number one, a lot of Green Bay's wide receiving core has ended up on the injury report. That is number one, including Jaden Reed. Number two, Jordan Love's splits when under pressure versus not when under pressure are massive. Biggest erosion in passer rating this year. Like the most touchdowns passes, but also like most interceptions. It is high risk it biscuit, whatever that. Remember that was very fun.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah,
Bruce Arians, believe it was not the name of his book. The name of his book was The Quarterback Whisper, and I read it. But a lot of no risk it, no biscuit.
Do you want to know what book I've read? Total Access by Rich Eisen.
Is that the only one? Or you just wanted to brag?
No, somebody told me that in order to work with Rich, they were messing with me, and they're like, in order to work with Rich, you need to read his book. And I was
That's really funny. I've read that book as well, and I was not even told that. I'm a completist. That was even before I worked at NFL Network. I believe it was called A Journey into the NFL's
something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
And he had hair in the book. Anyways, it was crazy. But I'm back to Houston.
Yes.
I think this number one defense in terms of bringing the heat, they're the best rush defense in the league, and they back it up with a passer rating allowed being the lowest when they get pressure on quarterbacks. So in my estimation here, especially with Joe Mixon back in the fold, when they have that extra fold in the run game, even without Nico Collins, I would like it better if Nico were playing, but we don't have that option. This is an opportunity for Houston to kind of take that step forward.
Wow, you're the third smart person I've heard make this pick in the last hour or two.
Well, I mean, I feel like you might have been. It might have been. We were in the meeting together.
Yeah, not even counting that meeting.
Oh, okay.
I'm I was listening to a podcast. I'm listening to you. Yeah, Green Bay -3 was going to be one of my picks. We were going to go head to head here, but
you could go ahead.
I already was leaning towards jumping off of it, partly because I just enjoy watching CJ Stroud so much. I think he's the best quarterback in the league in the pocket right now, and it's so hard to pick against him that even though I do believe Green Bay will win and cover the 3, to make it one of my top 3 picks feels a little rich. Now, they are missing a lot of defensive starters, Houston, potentially. Jimmy Ward, not expected to play. Kamari Lassiter, I think, is not expected to play. A couple of the linebackers are maybes.
I don't know. This maybe factor makes me
nervous,
tricky, but
it is tricky. We don't know for sure. So you're going to move me off of that pick.
Woo!
I am
so
going to put it in my extra picks.
Yeah, put it in the box.
It's there.
Great. No, don't put it in the box. The box is good.
Okay, so going back to what I was saying about the Jaguars don't deserve to be 5.5-point favorites over anyone. I don't think the Rams deserve to be touchdown favorites over anyone. I know the Raiders are bad, but the Raiders, every other week, have this performance where it's we
when
really
they beat the Ravens.
We really stunk last week, and Antonio Pierce laid into it. We're going to play hard, and we're going to be better on defense than you think. And I don't necessarily think they're going to win this game. I would certainly pick the Rams, who are maybe getting Cooper Kupp back. It's looking positive for that. They're coming off a bye, but they're a one-win team getting a touchdown at home, and there's no home field advantage in particular when you're playing the Raiders in Los Angeles. Not that that's informing my decision too much. It's
not for the Raiders. For the Raiders, it's kind of
that's what I mean. But I don't think their defense is going to be this bad all season long. Sean McVay and the Rams have just dealing with so many different issues. They've changed their secondary up. Their linebackers are still very vulnerable. The Raiders are one of the worst teams in the league, but I just feel like a one-win Rams team does not deserve to be favored by a touchdown over anyone.
I mean, I have them at a touchdown, so I'm kind of
you're on the fence.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right, that is my third pick. I'm going to take the Raiders. I'm going to be bold because I feel like when I've not been bold.
Yeah, no, you got to be
in
bold.
This segment. What's happened is I've taken all my bold picks and I've put them over in the box, which are my extra picks, and those extra picks have been better.
Be boring in the box.
So
be spicy on the show. Be boring in the box.
Okay, so to review our picks, your picks are Washington -7.5.
Yep.
You have the Jets winning over the Steelers.
Yep, but I get 1.5 points just in case.
Yeah, it's been moving around there. You get 1.5. Houston is a 3-point underdog in Green Bay. So those are Cynthia's picks. I'm taking the Pats getting 5.5 in London, taking the Seahawks getting 3 in Atlanta, and taking the Vegas Raiders getting a touchdown in Los Angeles. So I'm taking 3 underdogs this week. And then just because I like to have a little fun,
I like it.
I give people some extra picks.
Love it.
Ravens -4. This is just like I feel like taking the Ravens every week at this point, unless they just like prove me wrong. This Buccaneers defense has a lot of issues. I know you disagree with this one though. You had the Ravens only by 1 in this.
It depends on what happens with, like, if Mike Evans isn't playing, things shift. So I don't know.
Good call.
This one I don't feel great about. Like I don't know, when you get on the injury report like after Wednesday and he went on the injury report on Thursday, like that doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel so good.
It's a tricky one. This offense is just so good that I have a hard time seeing Tampa Bay keeping up. I have the Packers -3. I gave all the reasons already there. And then I'm going Browns +5.5. I had them written down last week and then I crossed them out because I even said it on the podcast, so it didn't count. I was like, I just can't, in good conscience, pick a team run by Deshaun Watson. But even though I really like them getting 9 points in Philadelphia, and you know what? They did cover. And they get Nick Chubb back. So I look at it like I'm not picking a Deshaun Watson team. I'm picking a Nick Chubb team. And this is a division matchup,
I like Nick
which
Chubb
the Browns have done very well in the Zach Taylor era. They've traditionally beaten Zach Taylor's teams, especially in Cleveland. Not that that's a huge deal, but I do think division matchups maybe make mismatches closer. And I'm just not really all in on like this Bengals defense has solved everything. So give me 5.5 points. I'll take the Browns.
Well, I don't know if the Bengals defense has solved anything, but in good conscience, I cannot take until the Browns get over a 20% third down conversion rate, which they haven't done all season long. It is 19%. It's up from 18% last week. Great. But until they consistently can convert 20, I'm asking for nothing. 20% of your third downs? I will give you a touchdown to the other team. I just think that is not good.
I have not
That is a decidedly ungood.
No, that's terrible. That's why Nick Chubb is going to come save the day. I've been rooting
Nick Chubb
against this Browns team because of Deshaun Watson for years. I feel bad for their fans. And so this is, I think, a week where we can celebrate something good happening for the Browns. And that's going to be covering 5.5 points.
To be clear, the way that you navigate this for fantasy is, yes, you're starting Nick Chubb, number 1. And yes, you're starting David Njoku. That's number 2.
Okay.
And if you're playing a daily format and you're looking for like a guy who could potentially have upside but has not done anything so far this year, it'd be Jerry Jeudy. So again, I'm not saying for your season long, it's only Nick Chubb. That is it. Or maybe David Njoku if you're like really bad with a tight end. But if you're playing DFS and you want some good contrarian value, Jerry Jeudy.
I love this. Come for the picks.
Get a little navigation.
For the DFS fantasy.
Who doesn't love DFS and fantasy, man?
Well, we are not allowed to play DFS as employees, but we can give advice. And Cynthia gives the best advice out there. Yes.
I'm not playing. I'm just saying what I would do if I were allowed to play.
I love it.
Duh.
If you want more of Cynthia's numbers,
a lot.
She has so many numbers.
Like a billion.
She has a model that does everything possible. She has a YouTube. I don't know. You don't call it a YouTube page. Just a YouTube. Your YouTube page is called Numbers Game with Cynthia Frelund, and
Numbers Game Show.
Long preview every week, picking the primetime game separately to the Thursday night. It is good stuff. It is chock full.
Even this week's game, which was a very I had to do a little extra digging to make it exciting.
Yes, she's working really hard on that, so people should check out Numbers Game with Cynthia Frelund. Check us out on Game Day View. We will be back on NFL Daily on Sunday night with Nick Shook and Patrick Claybon. I went 14-0 in my straight-up picks last week. 14-0. So when the picks are starting to be right, like Cynthia and I can feel a hot streak coming. You know football is back. We'll see you Sunday.